No.
Okay, it's recording now.
It is
perfect.
and I will edit this. So
Okay, cool. Well, we could start off by talking about I don't
Well,
know, the Men in Black.
yeah.
Have you ever heard of those guys?
Well,
If you were talking about Indrid Cold or whatever, that's related to like the Mothman and
yeah.
the Men in Black and shit like that.
But before we do, I gotta say, welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the very first episode of Info Landfill, and this is a very, very, very special episode because it's the first episode.
Yeah.
And with me, I have my very good friend Presley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very nervous. Never done a podcast before, but I appreciate being on the show.
Oh yeah, that's the nice part because Info Landfill is all about the weird things in life. If it's weird, that's the only qualification that's required.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah,
So.
well, and like how you were just mentioning the Men in Black.
Yes.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, not the movie, but
No, like the actual phenomenon.
yes.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
that's some interesting stuff right there.
It is interesting
And it's
because not a lot of people. Well, I think it's more mainstream now, but I found out about the topic when I was like in high school, like 2005, 2006.
oh yeah.
And back then, I never heard about that. Like I'd heard about the Men in Black, like the movie and everything. I never knew. I just by chance found a book in the library at the school called The Real Men in Black, and just caught my curiosity.
Oh.
And so I learned like all the stories about what really happened and all that.
Yeah. Well,
Or supposedly.
it's interesting how they because there's always speculation that oh no they're dudes in like black suits and ties that are there to intimidate people when they get too close to like government installations. But other people
That's
say
what
that
I thought at first too. I
but,
didn't think I'm
yeah.
like, what does it mean by the real Men in Black? I didn't really like. I was like, whatever. It's something to read during my reading time at school or whatever.
But then other people say no, like these are aliens that are disguised as humans or trying to look like humans.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because that's how I got into that subject. I was already into UFOs and all that, but I started reading this book. I didn't realize how creepy it really was.
It's spine chilling.
Yeah, they're they're not human, so they're almost freakier than aliens. But it's weird how they're associated with like UFOs and aliens. And even other paranormal things. They just show up.
Yeah, right. Kind of like
they're huge mainstream now, but back when I was finding out about it, like nobody on the internet, like it was still on the internet and stuff, but now it's just like everybody knows about them now. But
well, I've heard of I heard once or twice about black dogs, and they're kind of a similar phenomenon.
Yeah,
they're
black anything really.
Yeah, well, how I've heard stories of Men in Black turning into black dogs and then running away or flying away even.
Black horse, like back in the medieval days too, like the modern Men in Black, they arrive in a black old car, black suits. But that's modern. Back in the day, they would show up on black horses, black like death. Like they were apparently seen before outbreaks of the plague in some medieval cities, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's always interesting too, because so
it seems like they've been around. They're not just.
Well, similar to the Mothman, how you're saying that it's like before
a lot of Men in Black were associated with the Mothman.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting though how it's like you said how they would appear before essentially catastrophe. Same thing with the Mothman. Like
that's right. I forgot about that.
The most famous one with the Mothman being that bridge collapse. For the life of me, I can't remember what the bridge was.
And there was, it was in Point Pleasant, but I don't know what the bridge was. But yeah, there were so many warnings and. But the warnings were so vague from what I remember reading. I'd have to refresh myself on that.
Well, because when the Mothman appears, it just appears. Like it doesn't speak. It'll usually
no.
From what I remember, the stories describing, it would shriek or howl, and it would often chase people, or so they would say.
Yeah, but a lot of people were receiving weird phone calls, like metallic voices. Mm. There was a warning about something bad happening. I can't remember exactly. Exactly what it was. This is cool though. I feel like I'm like a professional doing a podcast right now. I'm actually getting into this now.
Well, that's the thing. That's all it takes. It's kind of like when you're. I
know nobody's gonna listen to this, but
well, you never know.
You never know.
It's kind of like when you're in a sparring match, and until you get hit, you're never really in the game. But once the opponent lands that first strike on you, then you're like, okay.
Oh, it's actually more enjoyable than I thought. I thought I'd have to be struggling to talk, but. If it's about paranormal stuff, I'll probably never shut up. So.
Well, we're having a conversation, and there just happens to be a recording device right here.
Perfect.
It's really nice. And the recording quality of this is actually not too bad from what you've heard in the other R&R episodes.
Yeah, some people use like a whole mic setup. We're just using a smartphone, so
Yeah, like we're not Joe Rogan here, okay?
yeah, they probably sound almost just as good, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, you've heard some of the other R&R episodes. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not. No.
Yeah, but when it comes to back to the Men in Black thing, I think the one thing, one of the members of in the paranormal group that I find most interesting is I did talk about this on one of the R&R episodes was the being by the name of Indrid Cold.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that guy until you brought that up. Actually,
Yeah, the grinning man they call him.
yeah,
Oh,
that's weird. Yeah.
He's so creepy, but it's interesting.
It's super weird.
He's not malicious. He appears to people, and
I don't think he's good though either.
yeah, that's the thing. He never, from what like anyone who's encountered or anyone who's claimed
I don't
to.
think he really felt safe around him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because he's smiling ear to ear, like more than what a human should be able to do.
I totally forgot about all that. Remind me about him
Yeah.
again. Yeah, refresh my memory.
But essentially, well, people would a couple of the stories involve people meeting him on highways, like at night.
That's the only way I thought they did meet him. He's always on
Yeah.
the road. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah, he was always on the road.
Something to do with being in a car, or he'd step out in front of the car.
They would sometimes he would actually be there, and there would be like a ship nearby that he was from.
Yeah. I heard it was a weird ship.
Yeah, like I don't remember.
It was kind of like the Nazi bell or something weird.
Yeah,
like
Die Glocke.
but it was like spewing smoke and weird. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it was just really everything associated with that story and that whole that was during the Mothman. No, that wasn't. Was it?
I think it was I think it may have been in the.
Had something to do with the Men in Black. I think it was Albert Bender.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been so long since I got into all of it, but
I just know that I believe it's maybe sometime in the 50s even. It was a while ago. I know that.
oh yeah, no, I just can't remember if it was associated with. I get the Mothman era and the Albert Bender. I can't even remember now. It's been so long. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that guy though. Indrid Cole. What a weird. And if it's made up, it's could be made up because it just sounds so bizarre.
It
but
sounds odd, but
the truth is stranger than fiction usually.
oh yeah. Well, I think one of the things that kind of draws me into the story is that a lot of people, when they talk about aliens, a lot of people's stories are, oh, I was abducted, or oh, they came and told me about the future. But no, with Indrid Cold, all the people that have encountered him, they're like, no, he basically came down and said, hey, I exist, and I'm from another solar system not far from yours. Bye. And then he would basically.
That's just to me. That's just so weird.
It's
It
weird.
just seems like he's not from another planet. It seems like he's
Yeah.
not. It seems like he's probably manufactured by
something or
something.
someone.
I'm not saying the government or the military, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think the military and the government really likes to screw with people.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why, but I mean they are in the business of killing people.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they can screw, maybe they test things on society to see if they can mentally fuck with people.
See what we're the way I see it. I think we're just a bunch of lab rats to them. We're a bunch of guinea pigs.
Oh, of course. I mean, who else are they going to test things on? You know,
Yeah.
they can't. They can do whatever they want. I mean, really,
Oh yeah.
which
Well,
I'm not condoning, but
I mean, that's the kind of topic where you start to get into the realm of like the Freemasons and all that.
oh yeah.
Oh,
But going back to the Men in Black, the actual paranormal ones, I don't think the military is involved with them at all. Really, I think they are just as curious in a way too about them. I know that they obviously they know a bit about them. They must know, and probably a lot more than we will ever know. But I think they still, because they're a lot of these Men in Black claim to be from like the Air Force or military, but you contact them, they're like, no, you contact the real military,
Yeah.
and as if they would tell you anyway,
But still, like
there's something like even they're concerned. You know what I mean? I think even they must know that they're not. I don't know.
well, it's just
Whatever they are,
it's just odd.
it's just totally odd.
I don't know.
It's totally odd.
It's fascinating though, and that's the thing because it's the whole idea that I like to tell people one of the many dualities or dilemmas I live with, or not dilemmas. Duality is definitely the word, where I want to know everything but I don't. If I knew everything, then there would be no issue. Well, not no
Oh,
issues.
we
but
talked about that before. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like playing a video game, and
Yeah.
you start the video game, and all of a sudden it says you've already beaten it. At the
yeah,
end. What
exactly.
would be the point of there's no
Yeah.
challenge, right?
Like, I want to know everything because I hate uncertainty, but I know that if I did know everything, I would get bored really easily. Really,
Well, there'd be
easily.
no point of there would be no point of existence because you would know everything.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be nothing to. There would be no point of being here.
Well, it's kind of like what you said about the video game thing. It'd be kind of like if you started off a game with all the cheat codes.
Or a movie or a book or anything. If you just
exactly, if you
if
knew
you
everything.
read one page and it just said, "This is Once Upon a Time, the end." That would be a very interesting book, wouldn't it?
No, and that's exactly it. That's and that's why I don't want to know everything. So
No,
it is a duality. It's cognitive dissonance in a way.
Well, I know what you mean, though. We want to know as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, at the same time, to know things, you have to not know things. It sounds so stupid, but that's the only way you can look at it, really. I mean, it's just like, every day is
It's like how they
every
say.
minute.
It's like they say you learn something new every day because they
Yeah.
a mind that does not learn is clinically dead. I've heard something kind of like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and sometimes every day can be boring too. I mean, it feels like you're not learning anything. That day.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. But
And that's the thing. Like people always say, "Oh, you learn something new every day." Every day, I always question that as a kid. Like, do you really every single day?
Yeah.
That's like,
maybe subconsciously.
and that's the thing. That's probably the half of it. But you think about it now. That's 365 things a year to learn.
Well, I mean, you're constantly taking in everything's new every second, every millisecond, everything. I mean, you're still every time you're alive, every second you're alive, I guess you're learning something new because you're just you're taking in, you're constantly looking at. You're never going to look at something the exact same way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's
I can look at you a million times, but it'll never be the exact same angle, the exact same.
whoa. That's actually a weird thought because that's true. Like,
I'm never gonna look at you the same.
all these minuscule, these tiny little variants, all these variables.
The way the light hits something, the way I don't know, I'm getting sound like I'm on acid or something.
No, but it is true though. Like if you really get down into the nitty gritty of all these things, it's true.
Yeah, but
And
you can't. At the same time, you can't overthink everything either. You just gotta go with it.
I never thought about that though. How you technically are never going to look at someone the same way twice.
Anything.
When you really,
That just goes for anything.
when you really consider, because like the slightest angular shift on the molecular level,
you're never gonna get it the same.
Oh. So when you look at someone and you feel like they've changed, have they really?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we're also changing every millisecond to second
yeah.
too. We're essentially rotting away.
Well, I mean, what they said that usually it's by within 7-year periods, every single cell in your body will have reproduced and been replaced by another cell. So you were physically not the same person that you were when you were born.
Yeah, yeah.
Like including your
Yeah.
bones, blood vessels, everything.
But that's how. I mean, that's everything, though. I mean, even a table is probably shedding.
Oh yeah.
Cells. I mean, if air. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. So I'm
me
not gonna
neither.
get into that, but you're right, though. Yeah, you're physically not.
And that has always been a weird thought. That it's like, wow, you've changed. Well, yeah. I mean, like it's been 7 years.
Your soul doesn't, though, right?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, if you people out there believe in that,
Yeah.
but,
Well, I mean, I think souls can change to the degree that
well, they can
like,
change.
in the sense that like you can learn things.
I just don't know if a soul's a physical thing.
Oh,
That's what
I
mean.
don't think it is.
But I don't know.
Maybe in another dimension, I don't know. Like
knows?
in another dimension where souls are tangible.
I can't even comprehend what another dimension is.
Oh, me neither. Like the idea of
I know they exist. I know they do.
Oh yeah, well,
I know. But
other planes of existence.
like even when you dream, sometimes I'm pretty sure you're in another dimension. Not all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I've thought about that too because sometimes I do wonder, like, what if you are seeing it? Like, is it your mind simply being all weird and groggy as you're waking up, or are you peering into another plane of existence altogether?
Like when you're waking up.
Like, yeah. Like, how do you know?
Yeah, you're definitely not all there when you're waking up. Sometimes that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, I know actually, my roommate Colton, who he's one of my very good friends, who's my co-host on the R&R podcast.
Check out the R&R podcast.
He has had many dreams before that vividly predicted the future, and they've all come true. Yeah, you too. I've never had that. I've had briefings.
Are you sure you've never had that? I feel like everybody has that.
Well, the thing is, I feel
like everybody.
The thing is, I have deja vu moments, but the thing is, Colton will remember the dreams, and he'll know that they're going to happen. Yeah. Usually, I don't remember the dreams until the thing happens, and then suddenly I realize, oh, I've seen this before. But no. But Colton, when he dreams things up, he'll see the future and realize, oh shit, that's going to happen, and then it does.
Yeah.
And I've never met anyone that's had that kind of foresight, like actual foresight. He
probably has a special. I definitely believe in that. It happens to me, but almost the same way as you, almost.
Yeah.
Because like I will have a dream, I know it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I don't know how Colton does it, but when I have a dream, and I just sometimes know it's going to happen. Yeah. But I don't know when. But I know it'll be in the next couple days. Yeah. And sure enough, like. It can be bad or good. Usually it's bad things that I'll predict, and then I'll have a dream about something bad happening. I'm like, well, this is going to happen. And I don't know when, I don't know how. Yeah. Sometimes it's been like, losing a job or it's always something not good, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but there's definitely been times where, and good things too, or just something that doesn't matter at all. It's just like, which would fall into your category too, like deja vu.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have something happen to me, but sometimes like more than many times I've dreamt about something and it basically happens the same as the dream. But I know that happens to tons of people, so it's not anything special. But
that's the thing. I only have deja vu moments where when the thing happens, I suddenly realize, no, I know I've seen this before.
Oh, and that's,
like the memory comes back to me.
That's why there's a word for it, though, right?
Because, yeah, deja vu. Well,
that happens.
It literally translates.
What is it? Right?
Well, deja vu literally translates from French to have seen or have already seen.
Yeah.
Like already seen. That's basically what it means. So
and it always happens out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
and you could be in the grocery store. You can be at work, or you can just be walking to the to the corner store. It's seemingly meaningless usually.
Right? It's all so
like,
trivial.
Why would I?
Like, oh, I knew that lady. I knew that lady was gonna drop her pickles on the floor. Like, why does like?
And it hits you like a ton of bricks too. All the time.
Oh, it does. Like you're almost stunned for a second. Like you're sitting there thinking, I knew that was gonna happen, and I don't know how.
Well, you just know you've already been there or been.
Yeah.
It is, and that just screws with your concept of time.
Oh, right.
I would say.
Well, the whole kind of like getting into Einstein's theory of relativity. That has always fascinated me. The idea that the way we experience time is specific solely to where we are physically right now, and that if we were to go to the next solar system over, it might be completely different.
Well, I mean, I heard even apparently like people that are, if you go into space, like above orbit. I mean,
it's slightly different.
Yeah, like
it's
hardly stayed up there for a year. It would be hardly noticeable, but like you could be 4 days younger.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, or if that's even true. I don't know what that really means. Like, because time is really what we measure it as anyway. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's
time is a whole other fucking subject. That's a whole other subject.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I guess anything goes right now, right? We're just rambling.
Well, that's the thing. There's no true structure to info landfill, really. It's just kind of
info landfill, everybody.
Yeah, that was always my vision for this one specifically. Actually, just random anything weird, like I said, but just free verse.
Well, this would be a podcast I would listen to personally, so I hope this catches on.
You guys ever tried DMT?
That is something I would never try.
I don't know what is DMT. Is that a hallucinogen? What is that? I don't know.
I don't even know. Yeah, I guess it would be.
I've only heard about it from Joe Rogan, and I've only heard a couple of Joe Rogan's podcasts.
Well, you know what I think most people, if anyone's listening to this, they probably know what DMT is, essentially. I don't really know what it is, but I know that your body and everything else produces it, but it's hard to make. It's found in, apparently it's found in everything, but
like carbon?
I'll be damned if you can find it.
Oh damn!
Apparently, it's the chemical that your brain gives off is when you're dying or dreaming.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, it's in your brain already. Your
So-
brain actually you do DMT. You do DMT every night.
That's a weird thought.
Yeah, well, it's not a
Wow.
drug. It's in your brain. It's just the thing is, it's also in. Apparently, it's in everything. Apparently,
Well, it's interesting that you should say that because I guess we must all experience it in different ways, just like most drugs. Everybody's experience is unique, even to tiny, very varying degrees.
well, drugs and the paranormal. I mean, I'm not condoning doing drugs, but there's definitely a link between certain drugs. I'm not talking about like smoking crack or
No,
like, I
that's...
mean doing psychedelics like
Yeah.
mushrooms.
It's always the psychedelics, it seems.
yeah, like natural things like mushrooms, even smoking marijuana, mushrooms, acid, stuff like that. I'm not like those are awful things for me anyway. I can't do drugs like that. I mean, I'll smoke a little weed here and there, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't want to condone that. But, no, I mean, some people just when they do mushrooms and acid and stuff like that. I've heard some crazy stories.
Yeah, or like salvia.
Or yeah, fuck.
One of the most powerful hallucinogens that we have, if not the most powerful, if I'm not mistaken. I do not know my hallucinogens, but I know that salvia is definitely up there amongst one of the greats.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, no, hallucinogenics for some people. I mean, they can open. I think it affects everybody differently, and I think some people can if they can. I mean, it's not even the drugs. It's just your brain. If your brain. Some people are more. I think are more susceptible. So I mean, some people can do drugs and maybe see certain things and interact with certain beings. I've never had that happen, but I don't also do a lot of drugs. But
Well, I have heard
I think
that-
we've all done, mushrooms or whatever, and acid when we were younger, and I know not you, but
yeah. Well, I've heard that it's not a good idea to do them if you have anxiety because it'll give you.
yeah, and exactly. I have anxiety too, and but I did mushrooms and stuff when I was younger, but before I had the anxiety, and I don't know, it was all right. It's your typical. I'm pretty normal when it comes to doing that stuff. It was like, yeah, I tripped out. Recently, I did mushrooms and acid stuff recently, and yeah, it wasn't good because I have anxiety and weird shit. So
saw the weird stuff, the creepy stuff, the
things
you would rather not see.
Well, no, it's not that I had a great time doing it at the time. Well, not the mushrooms. That's a whole other thing. But
Yeah,
I think we're going off topic with the drugs. But yeah, no, I definitely. It's just the come down after with the acid. Actually, acid was the most recent one. I didn't see anything. I don't think I'm susceptible to stuff like that. Like I don't see like aliens or anything weird or anything like that. I just have fun. But I was really my serotonin or whatever was just drained after, what I mean? Just not fun feeling afterwards,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always coming down from it. That's always the worst part. And that goes for anything, whether it's drunkenness and you feel hungover, or you come down from the coffee and you feel like you're super tired. Like anything that gives you a high coming down from it is always going to suck. That's kind of what goes up must come down.
Yeah, no, and I'm just not the type of person that should be doing acid anyway. I think there's certain people that can do that.
I wouldn't do it myself.
I wouldn't I would never do it again personally, but that's because that's just not for me.
Well, because in my case, I've never been diagnosed with anxiety, but every time I hear about the symptoms of anxiety, I think that's what I've been going through since day one as a kid.
Oh yeah,
and again, I've never been medically diagnosed, so I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. But I have my suspicions, and I don't want to risk taking hallucinogens because of that.
Yeah, best not to.
Yeah,
I have never been medically diagnosed, but I know that I have some definite issues with that, and I wouldn't recommend. Yes, I wouldn't recommend anybody to do it. Really, I mean, if you think you can, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've heard.
Some people love it. I mean, if you can do it, I just wouldn't recommend. I used to recommend mushrooms. I thought, oh, mushrooms are the greatest. I did them about a month ago, and it's the same thing. I don't know if I'm just too old now, or
I've heard that LSD is it really calms you down.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a bad trip. I've never had really a bad trip.
I've heard that LSD isn't even that strong of a hallucinogen.
No,
Like it's
mushrooms
just,
is worse.
yeah,
Way
like
worse.
like LSD is mild and it just kind of chills you out, and you're like, oh, look at that, the walls kind of
Yeah.
moving. Hey, the floor looks like it's made like waving.
No, actually, I've never had a bad time on LSD. Really, just after. But the mushrooms. Last time I did mushrooms, I'll never do them again.
Oh
I've
yeah.
done mushrooms lots. I've never had a bad time. And just a couple months ago, I did them, and it was my buddy started Tristan. Actually, my buddy Tristan.
Yeah.
We both did them, and he started having a bad trip, and I was having a good trip. But eventually,
no.
he started having a bad one, and it freaked me out. And so I really do believe that like your energy. I mean, it sounds so hippie, new age, but like his vibes totally went to me, and I was just like, now we're both, like.
Oh no. Well, that's the thing.
But at the same time,
contact time.
It also brought us together too. We were both so scared having it, but we both were in the same place, but we were so alone and so in this darkest place. But
Yeah.
thank God I was in that dark place. I think he was in a dark place first, obviously.
Yeah.
So he had to drag me into that dark place too. Like I think that's the best way I could look at it. So we both got through it. I mean, you always get through it. You're never going to not get through it. But it's just not a fun thing to do.
But, like, it sounds like it was almost like a bonding experience.
It was a bonding experience.
Because you were both there.
It was.
Suffering, and at least you had each other.
Yeah, yeah. And I never thought about that until now, actually.
That's kind of, I mean, that's one of the ways, that's one of the many ways humans bond. It's great when you're having a good time. But when you're both having a bad time,
and you can get through it, right?
And you can
never thought about that until
Yeah, and then you confide in each other.
Well, he actually it was weird how he sensed it too, because we were at our buddy's house.
Yeah.
And we were both on mushrooms, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, it was bedtime, so there was a couple of us there. I went to sleep on the couch. He went upstairs in some other room to sleep, and I was just like. Because I saw him before he went to bed, and he was just having a bad time. And I was like, and then all of a sudden I was like, I just was wide awake, high on mushrooms still. And I was like, I was starting to feel weird.
Oh no!
And before I knew it, I was trying to go to bed. I'm like, okay, I'll get through this. All of a sudden he's shaking me like, hey man, are you feeling like I'm feeling? Like he knew, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I am. He's like, we gotta just go watch TV or something. And he's usually like the calm one. He's usually never. So all of a sudden,
I've met him. He's very relaxed.
Yeah, he's done tons of crap like that, So it's just like I just didn't think.
It's kind of weird.
It was so all of a sudden, we were both in the same boat, and but it was nice. Yeah, it was a bonding experience.
Yes, it's interesting how that works. It's always the bad times that bring us together. Death brings us close. Isn't that morose? Dillinger escape plan. Yeah, but it's true though. How. Yeah. Even the small tragedies kind of, because I think that's the thing. It kind of awakens you and it reminds you that you are indeed alive.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
And for whatever reason, when that happens to people that are within the vicinity of each other, it's almost like.
Well, it's just like if I
kind of understand each other a bit better.
Yeah.
Almost, for some reason, somehow it's because I've had that before and I can't really explain it.
Well, I'm sure. I think it's just a natural human thing. I don't think you have to be on drugs for that to happen.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
But, I mean.
It helps sometimes, depending on the scenario, but...
Oh, well, yeah.
In the same way that alcohol loosens you up and coffee makes you hyper and...
Yeah.
Everything has a different effect.
For sure.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, what do they call alcohol? Liquid courage.
Liquid courage.
Well, it's because that's the thing. When I'm drunk, or even
liquid hurt yourself.
That's far more accurate. Liquid hurt yourself.
Can we tell you how many times I got hammered and woke up the next day like, okay, I think I broke my thumb. I think my ankle's jacked. I don't know what I did.
Oh man, it feels like
no memory.
I feel like there's a railroad spike in my head. Oh, yeah. This is not fun.
It's like I'm hungover and I'm physically hurt. What the hell did I do? My tooth is chipped.
I'm in bed with 3 other men. What the fuck is it? Like, what's?
Why couldn't it be 3 other women?
It's funny though, because when I'm tipsy and when I'm drunk and when I'm wasted, the only thing that really happens to me is that I laugh more and I talk more, and then I get flirty, as most people tend to. Suddenly, I'm not as afraid.
You just described every drunk person.
Yeah, well, suddenly I'm not as scared to tell that girl across the room that I think she's cute, and I don't care if she likes it or not. At that point, I'm just like, hey, you're pretty good looking.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. I think it all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends. It all depends.
But I've noticed that the most powerful spiritual experiences I've had were when I was drunk. Interestingly enough,
Yeah,
and it's
well,
always like
it's the world's oldest drug.
it is. In fact, I talked.
It is a drug, people.
Coming from I am a person that believes in God. I believe in.
It's a class 5 narcotic, whatever they call it.
Yeah, I do believe in Jesus. I believe in God, and I find that the time I speak to God the most is when I'm drunk. It's interesting.
Why wouldn't you?
And it's well, that's kind of what I at the same time I'm thinking why wouldn't I? But at the same time I think why do I?
Because you're drunk.
Yeah, but why does it take getting drunk for me to really call to God and say, why did you make us?
The same reason why it's easier for you to talk to a woman or talk to people.
I guess it's liquid. Yeah.
It's,
and that's the thing.
I guess, I mean, maybe a lot of people I think are scared to talk to whatever you want to call it, God or whatever your higher power might be.
A lot of people have the idea that the Lord is an angry God. I do not think that, because if he was indeed an angry God that was always pissed,
dead.
Exactly, you could just done. We're gone.
Just be lucky that you live in a good country, and if you don't, then I mean that sucks.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can. I mean, fuck. We live so good.
We're very blessed. I mean, the thing is,
Must have done something right.
Well, it's interesting how they say that even the poorest person in a developed country will still have more at the end of the day than people in
pretty much the whole rest of the world.
Yeah, and that's why I thank God every single night. I always pray. I always say thank you for the roof over my head, the food in my stomach, and the clothes on my back, because at the end of the day, I've always had that, and a lot of people don't have that.
A lot of people don't. You're right.
Yeah, and so it doesn't stop things from being tough, but it helps me to kind of see the lighter side.
Yeah, and you don't have to necessarily believe in God or Jesus. I mean, whoever you believe in, if it is, as long as you understand there's a higher power. I mean,
well, I'm not going to force Jesus on anyone, because the thing is, it has to be genuine.
Yeah,
and Jesus would not be happy if I forced the belief of him on anyone else. I'd get to heaven and he'd be like, dude.
Yeah,
like that's not what I wanted.
Yeah,
you're supposed to introduce me and let the person figure it out on their own.
Yeah, no, I mean
that's what I don't like about the Catholic Church, especially the old one, because they were tyrannical. Good God.
Yeah,
they were just especially the Spanish Inquisition was like the USSR of Christianity. It was fucked.
Yeah, I always forget. I try not to look back into that stuff like that, but
yeah,
I know that religion is.
It's frowned upon.
It's a very crazy thing.
And I do like that people try to make the differentiation, though. They say, I'm not religious, but I do have a relationship with God. And I kind of like that, because I feel like...
That's like me. I mean, I'm not going to... I mean, I'm not religious, but I believe in God. I believe in Jesus.
And some people...
Solely from believing in Jesus, I mean, I was raised that way, too. But... I also believe Jesus existed because of my interest. Sounds retarded, but my interest in aliens and UFOs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of the Bible and Jesus, and not just Jesus, but other prophets and things like that, all point to something greater than what we're seeing now. That's all I.
Oh yeah.
That's all I know.
And that's the thing. I don't often claim to definitively know anything, but the one thing that I do definitively claim to know is that I feel like there is absolutely something bigger than us out there. We can't grasp it yet.
Oh, 100%.
Or maybe we might not ever.
It happens, and some people, there's I love these skeptical people and these, people that don't believe in, they just believe everything is random, nothing's by chance, we live, we die, that's it. I mean, and that's fine if you want to believe. That's a pretty easy... I feel sorry for those people, but in a way that's easy for them. Like, it's almost like it's too easy.
You can excuse everything you do. Like, oh, well, technically there's no right and wrong.
I can go kill. That means you can just go have a shoot up at a school and, nothing's going to happen. I'm just going to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
you think there's not going to be a consequence for that?
Nothing matters.
Whether you're religious or not, the universe is a higher power than you. And if you think you can just come into this existence and be an evil, horrible person and think that there's going to be no consequences, then you're sadly mistaken, in my opinion.
And that's the thing.
I don't want this to get all religious, but I'm just...
Well, that's the thing. Anything
Anything
weird
goes, right? Yeah.
Anything weird, anything
We'll
supernatural.
have to edit some of this shit.
Should we though, or should it be all unfiltered? That's in fact.
Yeah, okay.
You listen to the R&R podcast. That is all unfiltered, all of it.
I don't know. We start talking about drugs and God. Maybe people will like this. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's important to venture into the areas that people might kind of go, no. We're going to talk about this. And if you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. You don't have to. No one's holding a gun to your head.
And I try not to swear. If we're doing podcasts, like this is a weird thing. I try not to swear. I know I've already sworn a couple times. But
Me too.
Because it just sounds so unprofessional. Especially with topics like this. Like when I listen to podcasts, as soon as I hear somebody swear or talk about drugs, like I'm like, oh, I can't really take this person that seriously. Which I don't always, but it's like, it's just, I don't know, it's a weird pet peeve of mine. If I'm listening to a podcast, somebody starts talking about like drugs and swearing. But I think we've talked about it pretty well.
Well, that's the thing. We're trying to have an intellectual exchange.
I think it's pretty intellectual, yeah.
Yeah, well,
some people just glorify it. I mean, and you'll hear somebody like, "Oh yeah, drugs."
I got so wasted. Well, here's the thing. I've never done drugs, but I've abused coffee and alcohol, and I got to say,
still drugs.
Well, that's the thing. It's alcohol.
People love to glorify drugs. You know what I mean?
Well, coffee is a psychoactive drug. It's the only legal one worldwide. But here's the thing. Coming from
and marijuana.
Yeah.
Well, not worldwide.
Well,
right,
is that psychoactive? Psychoactive though is things like cocaine and like.
Marijuana is psychoactive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Believe so.
But either way, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not glorifying any habits I have. In fact, I'm trying to not drink as much, and it's working. It is a process. I was never an alcoholic.
Been a big drinker though.
No, that's the thing. I was never an alcoholic, but I did go through phases where I was drinking a lot, and I was like, I have to stop this before it turns into a problem.
Yeah. And
I was able to catch it early, and I'm very happy that I did.
I hope you keep it that way because
I hope
it's very dangerous. Very dangerous.
In fact, I actually had a coffee problem more than anything else. It was a caffeine addiction.
That's my fault. I got this guy addicted to coffee.
But coffee is delicious. There's so many different kinds.
It's always around you too. I mean, that's how I got you. Well, I didn't. I'm not gonna say I got you hooked on it, but I definitely recommend it to you at work. We worked together. So
Presley, we worked and I. Well, that was a stroke of a sentence. Little aneurysm there, but Presley and I we worked in a kitchen for a couple of years. That was so much fun. I always liked working with you just because it was always interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, we always had interesting conversations, and it was a nice restaurant, big golf course, lots of people, lots of events, lots of weddings,
lots of free coffee.
Oh, you could have as much coffee as you wanted. They didn't care.
I can't even tell you how much friggin' coffee I drink, man.
Same.
I think I drink like 4 liters of iced coffee a day.
I still remember that. Kidding. I remember that. You were crazy.
People would be like, "Are you drinking coffee?" I was like, "Yeah, isn't that like your 4th liter of coffee?" Like this can't be healthy. It's like, and I drink.
It's funny though, because my
kidneys I can't believe my kidneys are dying.
I remember though. You remember it too. The first time I had coffee was because for years, like as a kid, my mother.
I'm pretty sure I remember the first time you drank coffee.
Yeah. Well, my mother always had her coffee black, and every time I had coffee as a kid, it was because I had a sip of my mom's coffee, and she always had it black.
Yeah.
So I'd always imagined it. I'd only ever known it as this thick, tarry substance. I'm like, why would anyone drink this? But then I remember. I would always see people with cream and sugar, and I thought, nah, no thanks. But then there was that one night, you and I were working. It was a big function, big wedding, lots of stuff coming in, and I was super tired. I thought, screw this. I'm going to try, because it was also when I saw you put brown sugar into yours, and I like brown sugar more than the white bleach sugar, so I thought, hey.
I prefer the brown sugar. It's actually better for you, too.
It is. And then I tried that, and here's the thing.
Tastes better, too.
It does. And over the next 45 minutes, on an empty stomach, with zero tolerance to caffeine, I had 4 cups of coffee.
Did you have that?
I did. I remember that vividly. And here's why I remember it vividly. Because that night, I stayed up. I did not feel tired at all. I was completely awake until 4:30 in the morning. Completely, I was wired.
God.
I remember I was
you've never had it before.
Well, yeah, I remember I was writing on my computer and everything, and I remember looking over the clock like, oh, it's 3:45 a.m. and I couldn't go to sleep if I wanted to. I was just sitting there like, I'm not tired at all.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, I know. Coffee's a strange beast.
It's a bitch.
Yeah. I've always loved coffee, but
Oh
I
yeah.
only drink it when I'm working. I don't drink it really at home.
Oh really?
No.
That's probably a good thing because
Yeah.
then it's
I did
more,
today though, to be honest.
Oh, did you?
I did. First time in a
Oh.
while, I was just super bored. I was like,
Oh.
I guess I'll make some coffee. It's just if I drink like 4 cups of coffee, I will not stop pissing.
Right, me too.
I will not stop.
I won't like.
I can't do it before bed. There's no way.
No.
Because I won't sleep.
The
Not
only
because of the caffeine, because I have to piss every 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh man. I get really jittery though. I always get that nervous energy, and I know that's
Yeah.
pretty common. That's the one thing I don't like about it.
Well, that passes. That's why does it not pass for you, or?
It does pass for me eventually, but it usually goes on for it depends on how much I drink, but the anxiety stage and the paranoia that that I often feel, it usually lasts for anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how much I've had. And it is honestly paranoia. Like I'm scared of everything. Like even if
I actually had that today.
If I hear the slightest inflection in someone's tone that sounds even the tiniest bit out of the ordinary, I'll think, oh, they hate me. What are they thinking? Are they like talking behind my back? It's exhausting.
That is weird.
But that's if I have a lot of coffee.
That's like me if I smoke pot.
Oh really?
With a bunch of people, because I don't smoke pot anymore as much. So if I'm like with a group of people and we smoke pot, it's only for the first 20 minutes or so. But I definitely get that feeling. I feel like everybody's against me, but that's pretty normal with weed.
Oh, is
smoking?
it?
Yeah, it's.
So you get paranoid at first, and then
Everybody does. It's one of the most common side effects of marijuana is paranoia, but it fades away. But you know what? It's funny you say that about coffee too, because I haven't drank coffee in a while until today, and I drank like 3 or 4 cups, and I was definitely like, and there was nobody home, but I was just like, getting anxiety, but I just made me want to kind of move around. But I mean, that's the whole point. But I guess when you have nothing to do and you drink coffee, and like now you're in this house by yourself, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I'd like go outside. I was like a psychopath. I'd turn the door, go outside, and walk outside, go back inside. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah, well, I really like to go for walks when I'm.
I should have just gone for a walk.
It's actually really refreshing because I use that time to reflect, and sometimes I talk to God. Sometimes I think about. I very often think about existence. Actually, I question existence a lot.
Yeah,
like
I try not to anymore.
I can't help it. It's the only thing that is predominantly on my mind anymore.
That gives me the most anxiety.
Oh, same here.
I can't think about it.
That's the problem. It gives me the most anxiety, but I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
I do try to think about other things though.
Just try to think about existing, not why I exist.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's so many. The thing is, the world is full of strange and interesting things to like. There are so many things. Like even drinks alone, like beer. You open up the world of alcohol in general. Look how many drinks there are. Coffee. Look how many different kinds there are. Tea. Look how many freaking kinds of tea there are. Yeah. There's so much tea.
I love tea. Actually, lately I've been drinking a ton of green tea.
Yeah, that's good for you, I've heard.
Oh, it's great.
It's really good. And that's the thing. Everything. It's every single.
It's great.
Nearly every topic you can think of. Like music, that's my most favorite thing. How many genres of music exist? So many, because
almost limitless if you think about it.
Excuse me. Because every single sound you hear, every single sound that the human ear can perceive is made up of a combination of sine waves, square waves, sawtooth waves, and triangle waves. Those are the primary colors of the sound world.
We're sitting on a couch right now. You could have the genre of playing the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could just make music by hitting the couch and recording it and setting up different couch, and it could be a whole genre called couch.
Couch music?
I don't know.
Or just couch. Well, how many couches are there? How many kinds of couches are there?
Oh, that's another infinite.
That's what I mean. Every subject with couches alone, they're couch recliner types. There are like 2-seaters, 3-seaters, ones that are like futons. There are like leather ones. There are pleather ones. There are like just straight up fabric ones like this. How many designs? How many different colors? How many different shapes? How many different like symbols? See, with couches alone, look how far we could go. That's what I mean.
This goes back to the that guy's getting mauled by a lion.
Oh yeah, we're watching some TV right now. Oh wow.
And I have to go pee.
Okay, I will keep this going.
That was crazy.
Wow.
Just watching a guy getting mauled right now.
That's frightening.
Hopefully he's all right.
Don't worry, I will hold down the fort while you go.
That's what you get for
Mess with the lion. Yeah, well, it's interesting. I always find it interesting that the whole idea of humans versus the animal kingdom. It's the perfect example that brains will always win over brawn. Always, 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 always. Maybe not initially. Sorry, initially. But in the long run, it absolutely will. You think about it. Humans, physically, we're very wimpy compared to animals. We're not that strong. We can't run fast. We can't fly. We don't have camouflage or shells or sharp claws or venomous stingers. We don't have extremely great sight. We have okay sight. Um, but there's so many things that animals have over us, whether it's sheer speed or even just muscle strength. There are so many things that they have over us, and yet we have dominated this planet with our intellect alone. Look at everything we built.
Hopefully they're not keeping up or
Hi, Colton.
You're saying hi to Kelly's roommate Colton.
Yeah, my co-host on the R&R
Yeah,
podcast.
check out that podcast.
Yeah.
Really funny.
It's fun.
I've seen, I think, almost every episode.
There's about
Maybe
5
not.
or 6
I
episodes.
thought I had.
Yeah.
I think I'm their biggest fan.
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea that we have fans.
I'm
It's
a fan.
Cool.
I'm definitely a fan.
I had 1 or 2 people at work ask me about it too. Like, hey, you're doing a podcast, right? I'm like, oh, it's making the rounds. Cool.
Anyway, I hope people listen to this one, but
Well,
I feel like if I say that on here, that nobody will listen to it.
well, for
As
me,
soon as somebody hears that, like, I'm turning this shit off.
for me, these things, it's kind of like when I write things and post them online, which happens very rarely, but I have done it. For me, I like the idea that just a couple of people listen to it or experience it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as 1 or 2 people, that's all I care about.
If I can reach a couple of people, I would prefer to have a small fan base that's devoted than a giant fan base that half cares.
I think this would be. I would listen to this because this sounds like. Well, because me and my friend talking, I would obviously I want to listen to it, but I feel like this is something I would listen to before bed. That's how
And
I
that's the
listen.
thing. That's why I try to keep. I try not to yell too much
No.
because I know that that's the thing. I listen to podcasts too when I'm going to bed on occasion, and I try to keep the volume down because of that. I mean, I'm not doing what are they called, ASMR or whatever.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I just know it's where people.
I keep meaning to Google it, but
I know it has to do with
it's like watching somebody relax.
Well, it's like where it's where people speak really quietly. People speak really quietly and really softly and really close to the mic.
It's like
And it's supposed to put you in a state of relaxation. It's almost like a mild hypnosis.
it is definitely because I definitely have watched people like pick pimples or like get their back cracked, and it's almost like I can like feel their. I don't know. I should Google it. I gotta find what that means.
Well,
ASMR.
Again, it's amazing what
I thought it was
sound
a porno
waves.
category or something. Like that.
It probably is. It's amazing what sound waves can do, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, well, for example, the human hearing range is between 0 and 20k hertz, which is those are the frequencies that we can hear. And around the 5k range, that's what we're most sensitive to. For example, babies cry at the 5k range, which makes sense when you think about it. So, sound waves can really affect us in ways that we don't yet realize.
Oh yeah, and then we get to military again. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they have so many sound weapons.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, I know they can do brainwashing stuff like that, but now I see the and these things aren't even top secret. They
No,
have
they're just
giant dishes on their jeeps. And
yeah.
instead of machine guns, they just have these giant. It's like
I'd
I'd rather see the machine gun.
I was gonna say I prefer to be shot, bruh.
Instead of make my mind go
Yeah,
crazy because you could just send God knows what. I don't know if that melts your mind and permanently fucks it up.
Well,
but I've heard of
that's
So
the
we
thing.
go to the Philadelphia experiment. For that kind of crap.
Philadelphia experiment's fascinating. I only know
Probably the most fascinating thing that and the Montauk Project for me lately.
I only know the bare bones thing about the Philadelphia
true.
Project.
Oh, and the Montauk Project's even crazier.
What is that one again? Refresh my memory.
Well, I don't even to refresh my own memory, but it's basically part of the Philadelphia experiment. It molds into the Montauk experiment or project, wherever it was.
Yeah.
Basically, it was in Montauk Island, New York. I don't know. I live in
Yeah.
Canada. I don't know, but they have this giant dish, and World War II, blah blah blah. It was basically a way to make the enemy surrender. So if you could just manipulate their minds,
Oh.
that was the Montauk Project. Essentially, they used this giant dish. It was in the 40s, 50s. It went on until the 80s, though.
Oh, damn.
Apparently.
Wow.
And so it was like, well, what better way to defeat your enemy to just make them not want to fight you at all? They just drop their guns. That was essentially, and I think it worked. I don't know what they did, but it turned into a whole nightmare of shit.
Like it had other side effects they weren't expecting.
It turned into like time travel. It turned into remote viewing. Psychic. Basically, you name it, anything paranormal, you name it, it happened with it. So
that's
from what I've read.
That's interesting.
Preston Nichols. Check out Preston Nichols.
Preston Nichols. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the Philadelphia the experiment though. That's
that's amazing. That's actually that could be.
One.
They're both connected. I don't know which one's crazier. I mean, you got Al Bielek with the Philadelphia experiment and his brother Duncan. They both went into the future apparently during the cloaking of the Navy ship. Yeah, they. You don't know about that?
Well, all I understand about the Philadelphia experiment is that it was a device that would have made them invisible on the enemy's radars, but it ended up teleporting the ship.
No. They would not just on the radar.
Oh, it was supposed to be physical invisibility.
Yes, and it did.
But it also
started teleporting.
It teleported them to New York and then back again.
It started teleporting them randomly into different Navy yards.
Oh, whoa! Specifically Navy yards.
Yeah, specifically Navy. And so people started getting freaked out because it was. So, I mean, you don't know what's happening, right?
Well,
and Tesla and Einstein were part of this project, and they backed out at the last second because they knew it was unsafe.
Oh, well, yeah.
But then the crew got tricked.
They refused to haul the ship physically.
Well, they didn't. The crew also didn't know. They weren't told. I think a few of them were, but they were lied to and told that it was, everything's going to be fine.
Oh, no.
They were guinea pigs, as we can go back to before we were talking about guinea pigs. Yeah, so basically you take this whole Navy crew.
No, it's messed up.
And they try to make the ship invisible.
Yeah.
And it's invisible, but it's not invisible. It's just disappeared.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's you've achieved your goal, but this thing's and every time it dematerializes and then rematerializes. These people are getting moved around or they're freaking out. You can move a centimeter, it doesn't matter. So wherever they are when the ship materializes is where they are.
Yeah.
So there's people like he described like half of their body is in the wall and they're dying, but they're still alive because they fused with the wall. And that's why they jumped off the boat. Because they realized the boat was the most dangerous spot to be. Because you'll just keep fusing with the boat every time. So they got lucky. So they jumped off, and with that happening when they jumped off, water is a huge part of time travel. Apparently, you need it.
Is it?
Yes, apparently. In every time travel story that I've heard that I think is real, water's always been the main key.
It's imperative?
You can't do it without it. So I don't know. So whatever. There is a ship doing all this crazy crap in the water, and they jump off. They said, screw this, because they've seen all these people dying or, getting messed up. So they jumped off. And all of a sudden they ended up in the year 2130 something, first of all.
Oh.
So it was 21 something. And pretty far into the future.
What did they say?
There's a bunch of stuff. They said it was pretty much the same as now, but definitely a lot of changes too. It's just there was a bunch. You'd have to listen to it. I can't do it justice. But then they were like, okay, we're gonna you shouldn't be here, kind of thing. You know what I mean? They understood it. But I guess by even in the 2100s, they've understood time. They know. So we know it now, but I guess even more so they knew it.
I guess it was common knowledge or something by that point.
I don't know. Who knows? They can do it now. I'm 100%, but they don't tell us. But I mean, it's not for us to know. I mean, you can't just have Joe Schmo time traveling.
No.
But
high rank officials.
Yeah, and even they screw it up, obviously.
Well, who can understand it?
But apparently, so they end up in the year 21 something. I can't remember. I think it's like 20 132 or something like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
still pretty far off from right now. And so they stay there for a couple weeks. They're in a hospital. They recover, but they talk about, it's pretty interesting. Like, definitely some futuristic things, but not as much as you'd think.
Yeah.
And then so they're like, okay, we got to send you back now, right?
Yeah.
It's time to go back to your time of 19 whatever it was, 40 or 50 or something.
Yeah.
And so they send him back, and all of a sudden they wake up in the year 2749. So they screwed up.
Wow.
So now they're even further.
Oh no.
And that's when it was super interesting. We talk about floating cities, like, so like
that'd be cool.
everybody votes, like if they want to change, like, because you're still on Earth but you're floating, so you can always change where you guys want to go, and everybody has like a job, but it's kind of like communism, but in a good way, from what I've heard.
Well, man.
I don't know what do you want to call it, but it's like
original-
everybody has
Yeah.
enough to serve. Everybody's given. You don't have
okay.
to work. I don't know how that works. I think you have to do something, but it's not like strenuous or anything. It's just you got to, like, get off your ass and do something. Apparently,
Yeah, like you have to work, but it's not like
it's not working. So to say, I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. It sounded kind of weird, but maybe that's just because I don't understand it. But it did sound like communism, but in a good way, if that makes any sense.
Well, the original ideas of communism were basically everyone gets a job, everyone gets a house.
Socialism, I guess, but I don't believe in communism or socialism. But maybe by this time they figured it out.
They figured out a way to properly implement it. Well, the thing is,
or maybe it's a downfall. I don't know. But
I don't know. I've never seen a communist country that didn't have miserable citizens.
Well,
that,
yes.
that were not heavily monitored and
capitalism
punished.
is what we need right now. Personally, I'm not going to get all political.
Well, I work with a guy who grew up in Soviet Ukraine, and I work with a woman that grew up in communist Yugoslavia. They both openly denounced.
They don't want to go back there.
Well, the thing is, they both recognize that there are pros and cons. Like, they both said they enjoyed the fact that everyone had a house and everyone had a job, but
what does that mean when your life is miserable?
The thing is, they both said that they were both reported that their countries were very poor growing up. Everybody was poor as hell. Yeah, you all had a job in a house, but you hardly had any money.
Quality of life was ass.
And the thing is, the guy I know who was in Soviet Ukraine, it's interesting how he liked and disliked the system for various reasons. The school system was very good. They had some of the Soviet schools were.
Look how smart they are.
Well, yeah, they're some of the best schools ever. But his problem, one of the things he hated most was if you went, let's say you were going to be a welder, you went and got your C ticket in college or university, whatever they had, and then after you got out, the government would say, "Oh, you're a C ticket welder. Ah, well, we need a welder in Siberia. You leave Monday."
Yeah.
And you can't say
you
no.
have no freedom.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's what
we have the option of freedom.
Yeah.
You don't have to work, but
yeah, exactly.
You have to.
You have the right to be poor in capitalist countries. Yeah, so it's interesting working with people that grew up in separate communist countries. Like, they both say that there are definitely advantages.
Just when you think you're having a bad day, you talk to these people. They'll tell you about a bad day.
They will always say, yeah, there are definitely advantages, but overall, they both say that they're very thankful to be in capitalist countries. And I'm not trying to push any agenda here. I'm just telling you how it is.
No, I'm not. I don't want to talk about politics at all. But
no, I don't. Well, that's the thing. I don't want to divide my audience. I just want to give food for thought and maybe make people laugh.
Yeah, hopefully that's what we're doing.
Like, I'm not willing to, for example, I'm not willing to disclose whether or not I lean left or right. I'm not going to do that. I
don't even know, to be honest. I don't know what left or right is, and I don't want to know.
Good.
I don't want to know.
And that's the thing. I feel like it's a good idea to, one of my favorite things is to get people to think and get people to laugh without... I try to be as objective as possible, and I know that's difficult because as humans, we all have biases. All of us. So it's tricky, but it's... Excuse me. I try to be as objective as possible. It's just better. It promotes thoughtful discussion and meaningful dialogue and exchanges. That sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, give me a minute. I gotta...
Well, I was gonna say,
Steve the pirate has dead the sea monster.
I was gonna say, do you wanna smoke a cigarette?
Yeah.
Still got
when I
extra?
come back.
Hell yeah.
Actually, you know what?
Kelly has some cigarettes left over. He doesn't smoke.
Yeah, it's a long story, but we've been going for quite a while actually. This was, as far as info landfill goes, this is basically everything I wanted. This is a very good
Perfect.
episode.
Perfect.
I thank you all for listening, whether it is in the morning, the afternoon, the evening. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful afternoon, and wonderful evening. And we will see/hear you all later. Goodbye.
Oh yeah, dude. First podcast for me, man.
Yeah.